We have always looked at the Venus as Earth's evil twin, a nightmare world where the air is thick enough to crush a submarine and the temperature is hot enough to melt lead. For decades, space agencies like NASA and the global scientific community focused almost entirely on Mars. Why? Because honestly, Venus just seemed too hostile to handle. While Mars is a cold, quiet desert where we can land rovers with ease, Venus is a high pressure furnace wrapped in thick clouds of sulfuric acid. But on February 9, 2026, a team of researchers from the University of Trento in Italy flipped that script entirely. They proved that while the surface of Venus is a literal hellscape, there is a hidden massive world right beneath its skin. This isn't just a small crack or a minor geopolitical feature. It is a sprawling, stable world that has been sitting in total darkness for millions of years, waiting for our technology to get smart enough to see. The team led by Leonardo Carrier and Lorenzo Bruzane didn't even need a new billion-dollar spaceship to make this discovery. Instead, they acted like digital detectives, going back to cold case data from NASA's Magellan mission. Magellan mapped Venus using radar back in the early 1990s. And for 30 years, that data sat in archives, largely ignored by everyone except the most dedicated planetary geologists. Everyone who looked at those old maps saw the big chains, mysterious lines of folds in the ground that looked like a row of fallen dominoes. Scientific guessed that might be collapsed caves, but in the 1990s, it was impossible to prove. The images were too grainy, the computers were too slow, and the signals were too noisy. These researchers used a new genius radar processing trick to finally see through the entrance of one specific fold on the side of a massive volcano called Nyx Mons. What they found is officially called a lava tube or a pyrodoc. On Earth, these forms when a river of lava cools on top to create a hard crust, while the liquid fire keeps blowing underneath like a pipe. Once the lava source stops and the tube drains out, you are left with a hollow reinforced tunnel. But the scale of this tunnel on Venus is absolutely mind blowing. The fold they found, which they call Skylight A, is about 1.5 kilometers wide. To put that in perspective, you could drop a medium sized city center or several football stadium right into the fold without touching the sides. When they bounced radar waves into the pit, they saw something unique, a bright asymmetric return. This is science speak for the radar hit the back wall of a massive empty room. The tunnel inside is roughly 1 kilometer wide and at least 375 meters high. To truly understand the scale, if you look the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building on earth, and laid it on its side, it would fit inside this tunnel with room to spare. The roof above it isn't just a thin layer of dirt, it's a massive slab of volcanic rock at least 150 meters thick. This is a mega structure created by nature itself. The biggest question people ask is if we had the data in 1992, why did it take until 2026 to find this? The answer lies in the evolution of our tools for hearing the data. Magellan's data didn't take photos, it recorded echoes. In the 90s, we were looking at the shape of the echoes, but in 2026, we are looking at the soul of the echoes using radar signal inversion. The Magellan spacecraft used a synthetic aperture radar (SAR) that hit the surface of Venus at an 40-degree angle. This side-looking geometry is the only reason we found that cave. If the radar had looked straight down, the signal would have simply hit the floor of the pit and bounced back, telling us nothing about what was off to the side. Because the radar hit the pit at an angle, the waves were able to slip under the rocky rim of the cave entrance. Think of it like a flashlight. If you shine a light straight into your phone, you can only see the bottom. But if you stand 10 feet back and shine the light into the fold at an angle, the light slides under the edges and illuminates the hallway attached to the pit. The data signal inversion technique is the mathematical process of taking the tiny weak reflection from the hallway and reconstructing the 3D shape of the room. The most difficult part of the new technique was isolating the asymmetric return. In a normal pit with a blocked floor, the radar shadow is uniform. But in a lava tube, the radar waves bounce off the interior floor, then hit the interior back wall before reflecting back to the satellite. This creates a lopsided glow on the radar map that stretches far beyond where the pit actually ends. In 1992, this looked like a glitch for an artifact. In 2026, thanks to complex algorithm, because we can prove that this glow is a geometric signature of a horizontal void. The researchers inverted the signal, meaning they would backward from the echo to find the only possible shape that could create that specific box. The result was a 1 kilometer wide tunnel. None of this would be possible without the massive jump in GPU, and processing raw radar echoes require billions of simultaneous parallel calculations. 1990s supercomputers, the kind that filled an entire room, would take weeks to process just one small patch of Nyx Mons. Today, a modern GPU AI factory can run these simulations in seconds. Furthermore, the team used AI noise filtering. Space data is incredibly noisy, filled with random static from the atmosphere and the instrument itself. Modern AI models trained on thousands of radar images of Earth can distinguish between a fake pixel caused by static and a real pixel caused by a cave wall. This allows the researchers to clean the 30 years old VHS quality data and turn it into a 4K digital blueprint. The research the researchers knew the scientific community would be skeptical. So they didn't just trust the Venus data. They validated their radar signal inversion math on Earth first. They took space-borne radar images of Corona lava tube in Lazarente, Spain, and the tubes in Hawaii. They ran their new formula on these Earth images to see if the max could predict the size of the caves. Then they compared their radar result with actual 3D lidar scan taken by people physically walking inside those caves. The radar max and the physical measurement matched almost perfectly. This proved that if the technique can see a cave in Spain from space, it is 100% capable of seeing a super tube on Venus. You might wonder why these caves are so much bigger than the ones we have on Earth. It turns out Venus is a perfect environment for super tubes due to two main factors: lower gravity. Venus gravity is about 90% of Earth's. This slight reduction allows a volcanic ceiling to span a much wider distance before it becomes too heavy and collapse. Next one, atmospheric pressure. This is the most important part. The atmosphere of Venus is 90 times denser than ours. When a lava flow starts, this high pressure acts like a giant thermal press. It forces the top layer of lava to cool and solidify into a thick, ultra stable insulating crust almost immediately. This creates a massive reinforced pipe that allows the liquid lava to inside to keep flowing and carving for dozens of kilometers without the heat escaping. So why is this the best news today for geopolitics and space? Because this K is the most valuable real estate in the solar system. The surface of Venus is a dead trap, but inside this tube, you are protected. It is a natural fortress. The rock roof, 150-meter thick, would block all cosmic radiation, acid rain, and extreme surface heat. The study suggests this network could be 45-kilometer long. This discovery has already ignited a new subsurface space race for years. For years, the US, China, and Russia have been focused on the lunar South Pole and Mars. Now the focus is shifting. Upcoming missions like NASA's Veritas and the European Space Agency's Envisions are being redesigned as we speak. They are being equipped with subsurface radar sounders, tools specifically designed to map the interior of this star. We used to think Venus was a dead end, a planet where technology goes to die, but by using 2026 technology to unlock the 1990s data, we have found a hidden frontier. The future of space exploration might not be on the red dust of Mars, but deep inside the giant dark tunnel of goddess of night, Nyx Mons. We didn't find a new planet, we found a new way to live on an old one. Thank you, guys.